Hi everybody, it's Mimi, and is the sand in this hourglass defying gravity? That's right, it's time for our very first filler episode! Yes! Woo! I'm so excited for this. You guys have absolutely no idea how excited I am to watch something new for Tsubasa that's actually canon. I can't even, you have no idea. Well, that was okay. It was decent. It was a story. It happened. I'm a little disappointed, but you know, that's fine. Let's just start from the top. So, right off the bat, we're treated to this seriously cool looking spirit. I mean, look at this thing. It's awesome. Can we have more villains looking like this, B-Train? More effort like this? Pretty please? Because this is really good. What? On-screen death? Yeah, no. There's not. Guess I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up. Oh my god, what have I become? Oh, it's this episode! The episode that got all the Kuro-Fi shippers learning how to use Photoshop! And everyone in Storm Country is just A-okay with random people teleporting into their arena? And they just let them apply to fight in the tournament even though they're outsiders and they have no idea what sort of abilities they have and they could just be completely and totally ruining anyone else's chances of winning the tournament? So the treasure just goes to a bunch of strangers who don't even know what it is or have any sort of attachment to it? And where are the storms anyway? Isn't this Storm Country? Are they hanging out wherever the fog was in Fog Country?
その宝物というのが姫の羽かもしれませんね。問題はどうやってその聖なる宝物を手に入れるかなんだけど。
そんなの簡単だろう。俺たちもあの大会に出て優勝すりゃいい話じゃねえか。
Wait a second. A tournament to win the feather? This is Piffle's plot. I see you, B-Train. And I'm watching you.
姫、大丈夫。ちょっとびっくりしただけだから。モコナ、姫と一緒にどこか安全な場所で隠れていてくれないか。了解。でも心配はいりません。必ず羽は手に入れます。
Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Sakura does not need protecting. She does not need all of this pandering. Oh my god. And why is the group just letting her walk away with their translator? That seems a little counterproductive, doesn't it? Sakura is imposing herself on a stranger? Why not just sit down in the sunshine? Maybe beneath some trees for shade. Like, why are you imposing on people? They could be murderers, Sakura. Use your better judgment. Oh, wait, that's right. B-Train forgot to give you any.
ちゃんと戦えこの野郎。
戦うのはいいけど負けるの痛そうで嫌だし、かといってこっちが勝ったら後々しこりが残りそうだしね。
Yep. There it is, folks. It's, you know, that scene. Why is this so anticlimactic for me? I don't understand. Why am I not enjoying this?
あら、もしかしてクロポンかな。
てめえの面なんざ二度と見たくねえ。死ぬまでそいつをかぶってろ。
取っても取らなくてもどっちでも一緒だったりして。
I will say, the little pause before Fine moves to take off the helmet is very well done. He pauses for a good few seconds, as if he's really truly thinking about leaving it on. And then he turns and tells Kurogane that it doesn't really matter because it's the same either way, right? And I wish I could have seen Kurogane's face after that, because he must have given Fine the glare of a lifetime. Fine knows that Kurogane can tell he's wearing his smile as a mask. And now Kurogane knows that Fine knows that he knows that Fire is wearing his smile as a mask. And I'm sure that said ninja is not happy about being toyed with like that. Overall, this was a good little addition that will be expanded upon further in Outo. For now, though, I'll leave it be and give it some brownie points. What was that running animation? B-Train, did you spend all of your budget on that Kuro 5 fight scene? This is just not fitting music for a fight of this caliber. And I think a bit more needs to be said before just handing him the sacred treasure. Shaoran, you just met him!
一つ聞いていいか?
何?
なぜあの時お前は遺跡に入ったんだ?
ある人と結ばれたいと願ったから。
Warning! Warning, everyone. There is a rant coming. No spoilers, just a rant. Oh my god, why didn't you just ask him to freaking marry you then? Instead, you go into the deadly ruins of deadliest death to wish for it like some spirit is gonna make it happen for you? B-Train, stop making female characters so thick-skulled! Okay, rant over. Probably.
でも本当に良かったよね。あのお宝がさくらちゃんの羽じゃなくて。
そうだったら戦うしかなかったろうな。どちらかが倒れるまで。
I mean, I guess this is B-Train's way of foreshadowing the court and Acid Tokyo? Having to cheat or fight good people in order to obtain a memory feather? But from what I've heard, they changed the court drastically, and they don't even animate Tokyo. But maybe they'll use this in future filler episodes? I guess we'll find out. And, well, that's that. I mean, it was decent. It was a filler. I was so excited, and now I'm just not. I'm a little disappointed in how this went, but to be honest, I really only have myself to blame. I think I made myself so excited that when I finally watched the rather lackluster and ordinary filler episode, it just didn't meet my expectations. I'd rate this one a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's a thing. It exists. If you want to watch it, I would only recommend you do so to pass the time, and for the super cool spirit in the beginning. As for me though, I'm ready to move on to Outo now. So, Outo, the arc that started to make readers realize that there is a much bigger plot going on than they originally thought. Spoiler! Spoiler! I actually find it quite humorous that Clamp pulled that on us, to be honest. They're like, oh hey, here's the world of Outo. Psych! It was Edinus all along and you've been manipulated the whole time. Let's get down to business now, shall we? And then, 4 worlds later, they were like, oh, hey, here's Shaoran about to regain another memory feather for Sakura. Psych, he's actually a clone and you've been manipulated this whole time. Let's get down to business now, shall we? Guys, Outo was preparing us for that twist. Do you even realize? Anyway, I'm really curious as to why exactly Outo/Edinus is 9 episodes long, and I'm sure you are too. So let's get down to business now, shall we? Starting with a synopsis of the manga. Oh my god, where to begin with this one? Holy crap. Okay, here we go. The gang arrives in Outo, where Fi is subtly gay and Kurogane is obviously gay. They're taken to City Hall, where Fi makes up some very interesting names for them, and then they buy a house by selling the clothes they've acquired so far from other worlds. Before they can settle into their new home, however, they are beset upon by a seriously terrifying Oni, or demon. They manage to defeat it and discover that this world has specialists known as Oni Hunters, paired groups of people who take down Oni for profit. Noting that having jobs will allow them to gather more information about the whereabouts of Sakura's feather, Shaoran and Kurogane become Oni hunters, while Fi and Sakura open up a cafe. However, there is a slight setback when Kurogane reveals that he's noticed Shaoran is blind in his right eye. Everyone is stunned, and as Shaoran promises not to be a burden to Kurogane while Oni hunting, Fi begins to realize that he should probably keep more of his guard up around the ninja, who is a bit more perceptive than he originally thought. On their first night hunting, Shaoran and Kurogane encounter another hunter pair, and it's Yuzuriha Inuki and Kusanagi. They will forever be a brother-sister duo, in my humble opinion. The hunting pairs return to the cafe, where we start to notice a fun little fact. Clamp is allowing Fi's hair to grow throughout the series. It's such a cute little detail I had to comment. Sorry, moving on. Kurogane is absolutely livid with Fi because he's just found out that the mage named him Big Puppy. But Fi actually made such names for the whole group back at City Hall, not knowing how to write in Outo's language. Therefore, for the entirety of their stay in the country of Outo, Kurogane is known as Big Puppy, Shaoran as Little Puppy, Fi as Big Kitty, and Sakura as a Little Kitty. Because of this, Kurogane continuously tries to murder Fi throughout the entire rest of the arc. Sakura apologizes to Shaoran that she has forgotten about who he is, stating that she knows he must be someone very important to her since he is doing so much to help her. She tries to question how long they've been friends, but immediately loses her memory once more due to Yuko's price. The next morning, Sakura tells Fi how determined she is to wake up on time and help out with the cafe, and Fi and Kurogane decide to leave the cafe in her and Shaoran's capable hands for a night, while they visit a bar to obtain information on a strange new type of Oni that may have a connection with Sakura's feather. On their way to the bar, they are beset by Oni. Fi ends up injured, and then he and Kurogane have the most frustratingly intense not gay scene I've ever read in my entire life. Kurogane basically tells Fi that he knows the mage is dead inside, and he can't stand people like that. Fi just continues to smile emptily as the ninja's eyes pierce through his very soul, commenting that he must be the type of person that Kurogane hates the most. After their trip to the bar, where they learn that the new type of Oni is one that can transform into the shape of a beautiful young man, Fi and Kurogane return to the cafe to find that Shaoran has befriended another Oni hunter named Ryo, and Sakura has befriended Yuzuriha. Against all better judgment for some reason, that night after their guests leave, everyone gets drunk except for Kurogane because he's apparently the only responsible adult in the whole group. Shaoran asks Kurogane to train him in the way of the sword so that he can more effectively hunt Oni, and Kurogane agrees. After a while, however, he drags Shaoran, who would rather be trained in the way of the ladle, Fi and Sakura, who think they have become felines themselves, and Mokona, who I honestly think is just along for the ride, off to bed and won't stop grumbling about it all the next morning. Kurogane and Shaoran visit a weapons shop where Shaoran is given Hien, meaning Scarlet Flame, because the Swordmaster knows he will find a way to tame it. And Kurogane is given Sohi, meaning Blue Ice, because the Swordmaster is secretly a Kurofai shipper. As part of his training to better sense his surroundings, Shaoran is forced to walk back to the cafe blindfolded, and actually catches on pretty quickly to the environments around him. Except when he starts hearing regular cats as Fi and Sakura, and almost gets impaled by an Oni. Luckily, Ryo is there to save the day, and the two share a bonding moment. Meanwhile, back at the cafe, Fi sniffs Kurogane because he smells alcohol on him and... Wait a second. Yeah, no, that's really what it says. Fi sniffs Kurogane because he smells alcohol on him, and Kurogane just lets him. Shaoran returns home after he and Ryo have a dangerous encounter with the new type of Oni, and it's revealed that this new Oni is in fact a man named Seishiro, who trained Shaoran in hand-to-hand combat back in Clow. Shaoran is rather perturbed by this, and he and Kurogane return to City Hall to inquire about it, but they are directed to take their question instead to the Tower of Little People. a deadly building infested with Oni that few hunters have ever made it out of. With Shaoran determined to find answers and Kurogane determined to test out his new sword, they set off. The tower does prove to be a formidable challenge to them, but Shaoran's newly awakened senses aid him greatly as they press on. Back at the cafe, Sakura is still showing that she earnestly wants to help however she can, but she unfortunately still isn't quite able to keep up with herself and falls asleep once more. After making sure she's comfortable, Mokona talks to Phi about how it's okay for him to have fun on this trip as well, just like he's been telling everyone else to. Phi is perplexed by just how easily his companions are seeing straight through him, but accepts Mokona's advice with what almost seems to be a true smile for once. Their emotionally touching scene is interrupted, however, when the devil himself, Seishiro, enters the cafe. He and Phi share a brief conversation before Seishiro just straight up murders him, leaving Mokona and a still sleeping Sakura behind with a message for Shaoran to meet with him. Shaoran and Kurogane return to the cafe as quickly as possible, since the informants in the Tower of Little People told them that a fatal injury had occurred in their home, and both of them are devastated to hear about Phi's death. Kurogane in particular seems to be haunted by the fact that no body was left behind, meaning the Oni must have eaten Phi whole. Shaoran goes to confront Seishiro alone. Even though he knows he can't beat Seishiro, he goes to meet him anyway, out of respect for Phi. He does his best to defeat Seishiro, but in the end, he too is killed. When Shaoran wakes up, however, he is in an egg-shaped pod, and Phi is smiling at him from outside the glass. He is relieved to know that Phi is alright, and learns that this entire time they have all been in a virtual reality. Outo was just a game. The real world they landed in was Edinus, the amusement facility of Fairy Park to be exact. The builders behind the popular game are worried because a saboteur, Seishiro, has somehow managed to start bringing their virtual world into reality. Back in Outo, Kurogane gets tired of waiting and, carrying Sakura and Mokona, goes to try to find Seishiro himself. He runs into the other Oni hunters and they are all suddenly pulled from the virtual world of Outo into the reality of Edinus. However, they all still have their virtual clothing and weapons due to Seishiro's interference. Kurogane spots Seishiro and goes to get his revenge, unaware that Phi and Shaoran are still alive. After a short duel, however, this misunderstanding is corrected, and Seishiro reveals that he's had one of Sakura's feathers all along. He's been using its power for energy as he travels across worlds himself, hunting a particular pair of vampire twins. After realizing that the vampire twins are not in Outo or Edinus, Seishiro promptly leaves, taking Sakura's feather with him. The world of Edinus thankfully begins to turn back to normal, but the group has to move on fairly quickly since the magic from Seishiro's world traveling has prompted Mokona to open a portal as well. Saying a quick goodbye to their friends, the group is whisked away to a new world. Whew, guys, that was 3.5 pages of manga description, and those were just the clip notes! Like, so much more happens in the manga, it would take a whole video just to give it a proper synopsis. I guess now I know how they made it into 9 episodes. Maybe there won't be a bunch of filler, like I'm dreading. If it took me that long just to try to describe the main plotline, maybe it just took 9 episodes for them to animate it all. One can only hope. Okay, here's how this is going to work. By now you've probably realized that the title says Part 1, right? Well, that's because we're already so far into this video, and editing that 3.5 page synopsis wasn't exactly a walk in the park, so I'm only going to be covering the first 3 episodes of Outo in this video. The final 6 episodes of the arc will be covered in my next video, April 25th. And so, without further ado, let's jump right into the anime.
敬語あとトウヤだ
I'm glad they kept this scene with Toya and Yukito. It's basically just a discussion as to where the assailants must have come from, and how Sakura and Shaoran must be traveling in a different dimension. Toya remarks about how he originally felt uneasy when he was around Shaoran as a child, but the feeling faded over time. There's nothing too remarkable about the scene, and in the manga it was a bit more emotional because the readers know that Toya was unconscious when Yukito had to send Shaoran and Sakura away, but at least the anime kept it in.
さあ駒を一つ進めるぞ
Feywing read, you have like 16 extra game pieces right now. Honestly, it's getting difficult to tell what the anime is going to keep canon and what they're going to change in terms of Feywing Reed and his pawns.
じゃ 俺がみんなの分も書いとくね。わあ、バイさん、それは。
Wow, here we have an actually good reaction from Shaoran. Look at that face, I love it.
見張られてるかもしれねえんだろ。誰かに。
In the manga, Sakura had the cutest little falling asleep moment here. She was desperately trying to stay awake and swaying all over the place while Mokona tried to hold a pillow out where she might fall. Honestly, I'm fine with the anime keeping her awake more often, only as long as they don't give Sakura any more silly, autonomy-reducing scenes. I'm watching you, anime. Okay, the Oni is suitably scary, but still nowhere near as terrifying as it was in the manga. Also, in the manga, Kurogane grabs Sakura to pull her out of the Oni's way. It was a cute moment, similar to that of Fi and Kurogane protecting Shaoran and Sakura on their horses in Jade, that the anime also conveniently left out.
彼らは鬼狩りと呼ばれる鬼専門のハンターで、鬼を倒して収入を得ているのです。手っ取り早く儲かります。皆さんの職業にしてはいかがです？
シャオラン君、どうする？
なるほど。鬼狩りか。退屈しのぎにはなりそうだな。
それじゃ、二人とも頑張ってね。
って、お前はやらねえのか？
鬼狩りって二人一組って決まりがあるんだって。それに俺、違う仕事選んできちゃったし。
違うお仕事って何ですか？
They just skipped a lot? Like Fi wanting to take on a relaxing job? And Fi volunteering Kurogane to be Shaoran's Oni hunting partner? And Kurogane pointing out that Shaoran is half blind? I recently realized that that moment right there, where Kurogane reveals Shaoran's half-blindness, is when Fi understands that the ninja is actually much more perceptive than he originally thought. Like I mentioned earlier in my manga synopsis, Fi is now aware that there is someone who may be able to see through his act, and he has to step it up. And, of course, it's a very important moment in Fi, Kurogane, and Shaoran's character developments, so the anime has to leave it out.
Phew!
What the actual hell? Kurogane said
Phew!
to Sakura posing in her maid outfit? That is wrong on so many levels. Why, B-Train? Why did you put that in? I'm gonna have nightmares.
何
優子から差し入れ。フォンダンショコラって言って中にチョコが入ってて温めて食べるの。
Fun fact, Yuko actually ordered Watanuki to make those cakes in the Holic manga before sending them to the Tsubasa gang.
はい、どうぞ。
こんにちは。
And now Shaoran is having this particular flashback without it having been established that he's half blind? In the manga, this flashback shows Sakura being worried and determined to always warn Shaoran if he can't notice something with his blind eye. The anime, however, only shows the second half of the flashback, where Sakura teaches Shaoran to say thank you instead of I'm sorry. Granted, that is a very good thing to keep in the anime, and everyone should take that to heart, myself included. But the first half is also important. Why didn't they just explain that Shaoran is half blind where it was meant to be revealed? And then they could have animated the whole flashback and, given Sakura some desperately needed character development. So their shadows are shot for shot from the manga, but the entire rest of the scene is so off. And why is Fi there? He likes to watch Kurogane work? B-Train ships it?
この仕事を選んで後悔してねえのかって聞いてんだ。
鬼狩りを選んだのは姫の羽を探すためです。
そんなことは聞いてねえ。
じゃあ 何を？
言っていいのか？あいつの戦いをよく見てみろ。
あ
お前、右目が。
Oh my god, just say it out loud. Shaoran is blind in his right eye. B-Train writers, why are you beating around the bush? They actually never say it. Ever. The viewers are just meant to deduce it themselves. And yet, they had to spoil the mystery in Jade's arc so badly. They are playing this same song during a fight again. It just doesn't fit fight scenes. I'm going to have to go into more detail about the music in another episode, but just suffice it to say for now that the editors aren't really doing Yuki Kajiura's compositions justice. Here they are! Yuzuriha, Inuki, Kusanagi! Yay!
まあまあ、落ち着いて。
The comedic timing is off somehow. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like it works at some points and not at others. I believe the main thing is that the characters are so stiff when they say the jokes sometimes, and their facial expressions also don't work well with the lines. But then, other times, they do work well, so honestly, it's just getting confusing going back and forth between well-executed jokes and not very well-executed jokes.
ありがとうございます。
ごめんなさい。
姫。
And they kept this scene! Wonderful! At last we get a bit of character development for Sakura! In this scene, Sakura figures out that Shaoran must be someone very important to her, and it's tormenting her that she can't remember, so she's decided to ask him, only to have her realization snatched away due to Yuko's price. Sakura can never remember Shaoran as they were before. That was Shaoran's price for being able to travel through dimensions. She loses some of her free will in the manga because of this, yes, but honestly, this is the only thing in the manga that causes Sakura to lose her autonomy in any way. And that's just because it pertains to the main plot and is a huge part of her character development. Whereas in the anime so far, she has barely shown any free will or determination, which is very disheartening for her character. In addition, it was here where I first started to notice that Sakura losing her memories of Shaoran isn't just a price for Shaoran, but also for Sakura herself. They are both using Mokana to travel across worlds, and Sakura is no exception to the price Yuko needs to take. Spoilers for Holic, but it's established in the Holic manga that if Yuko or Watanuki don't take a fair price from their customers, Hitsuzen will instead take it from the shopkeepers themselves in blood. Therefore, Sakura's memories of Shaoran, the boy she was in love with and tried to confess to at the very start of the entire series, are taken from her as payment. And that's just tragic. Okay, the demons outside the window were pretty well animated and very dramatic. Brownie points for you, B-Train.
シャオラン君、私の記憶を探すために頑張ってくれているのに、私何もできないから。それにシャオラン君、時々すごく一人に見えて。
さすがだな。何もできないことなんてないよ。笑ってあげてよ。
No, Fai, don't tell Sakura to smile. People don't need to smile to make other people happy. It will make things worse if they have to force a smile. Fai, you are brainwashing the children. Kurogane, come fix your man already.
あなたは
情報屋のエリーよ。
The informants don't give Shaoran a test to make sure he's worthy of their information? They just give it to him? Okay.
なんでてめえなんぞと一緒に行かなきゃならねえんだ。
ちょっとシャオラン君にごちそうね。
あ？
こっちの話。
わけわかんねえ。
Yes, you do understand, Kurogane. He wanted Shaoran to have a night to catch up with Sakura. You understand perfectly. Shaoran's also too young to go into bars. Anime, stop making Kurogane into an airhead. He's an amazing character who doesn't deserve this.
一口でも食べたことには変わりないわね。ホワイトデー、期待して待ってるわ。お返しは倍返し。遅れた罰は3倍返しが基本なのよ。
This isn't supposed to come up until later? The whole White Day thing? I mean, it doesn't really spoil anything, but it's weird that they're pointing it out now instead of later.
いいお天気ですね。ちっこいワンコさん。
そうですね。ちっこいにゃんこさん。
やっぱり慣れないな、この名前。
でも、この国では俺たちの名前ですから、早めに慣れておかないと。
シャオラン、さくら、ちょっと来て。
I love how Shaoran and Sakura are over here trying their absolute hardest to call themselves by the name Phi gave them, and then Mokina just doesn't give a darn. Like, this is a well-executed joke. I loved it. It made me laugh. Keep your jokes consistent like this, B-Train. Okay, so at first I actually did not like this scene at all one bit. We're watching Phi and Kurogane getting attacked and fighting back against an Oni. There's action on the screen, but also a very soft, emotional piece accompanying it in the background. We continuously switch from Sakura and Shaoran in the cafe, to Uruha at the bar, to Phi and Kurogane fighting with the Oni. I was confused. I didn't know what to think. Then, when I saw Phi getting knocked back by the Oni, then Kurogane looking desperate and going into protective mode, all while Uruha sang out the refrain of her song wishing to discover the true meaning behind happiness, I realized just how effective both the song and clips are for this particular scene. It doesn't play out exactly how it did in the manga, and the fighting and dialogue differ from the manga a bit, but I can honestly look past that because this entire scene during Uruha's song is actually brilliant. So much so that I watched it again. And again. And then again. Just over and over and over, surprising even myself. I kept wondering to myself, why is this so good? It's literally just the most amazing scene. Breaking it down, I started to piece together why it was that I loved this scene so much. Reason number 1. The clips with Sakura and Shaoran are absolutely adorable and expressive. Look at Sakura's smile as she works with Shaoran. Look at Shaoran's smile when Sakura makes him a drink. There is good animation here and good chemistry. Reason number 2. The clips with Uruha don't distract from the others because the viewers know that she is the one singing the song. Granted, they haven't truly been introduced to her yet, but they know that she must have a connection to the bar Clover, which is where Kurogane and Phi are heading to. Reason number 3. There is no dialogue. There are sound effects and grunts here and there, plus Kurogane shouting the name of his attack, but overall the only thing viewers are hearing is the song playing in the background. Because of this, the animators had to step up their game and make sure they could show their characters being expressive. They had to convey their emotion on screen, the age-old show-don't-tell principle. For instance, look at this clip of Kurogane glancing behind him at Phi and narrowing his eyes. You can tell that he's saying, "Why aren't you taking this seriously?" And then Phi glances back and gives him one of his perfectly polished, "Whatever are you talking about?" smiles. Now look again at the clips with Shaoran and Sakura. See how they look at each other as well? There are words portrayed even when there are no words being said, and it's beautiful to watch. Honestly, even if you don't want to watch the anime, I highly suggest watching this one scene. It's in episode 19, the very first scene after the title card plays. You won't be disappointed. The song is beautiful and emotional, and you can tell that B-Train's animators just went all out for this one scene, and it's amazing. It's not perfect, but it is very close. If I could rate just this one scene, it's easily a 9.5 out of 10. Easily. Perhaps another reason why I love it so much, this beautiful song is immediately followed by this extremely important and beautiful scene. Ignoring the rather janky hand-clapping animation, here is the scene where Kurogane decides to confront Fi about his apparent aloofness. Kurogane knows that Fi isn't as casual and lazy as he makes himself out to be. He mentioned it in Hanshin, and now he's finally had enough of Fi's lack of interest in living. Fi realizes that the ninja is trying to make him open up about his actions, but the mage is still trying to keep his distance as much as possible from his traveling companions, so he comments that he must be the type of person Kurogane hates the most. He's trying to shut down Kurogane's advances, but Kurogane is having none of it, and just adds to the angst by not only using his sword sheath to aggravate Fi's injury, but also to force Fi to look him straight in the eyes. He's not messing around. He's not playing Fi's games anymore. He's ready to get to the heart of the matter, but Fi isn't. So all they can do is silently stare at each other, waiting for the other to crumble. The anime doesn't show what happens after that, but they're interrupted by the barkeeper at Clover, who tells them not to fight right outside their doors. I'm almost glad that this happened in the manga, because there was no way of knowing where that could have gone if someone hadn't stepped in to clear the tension in the air. Kurogane is a sword, trying to pierce straight through Fi's soul, but the mage is a brick wall, not allowing anything or anyone in. He would not have broken down to Kurogane. Not yet, at least. But the ninja isn't one to give up so easily, and that's what makes this scene so compelling. By now you also must have realized something else as well. The animation is actually really good in this arc. There are good expressions, good action sequences, good colors, good backgrounds, good reactions, except when there's not. All in all, it's actually really good. I'm almost wondering if most of the anime's budget went to animating just this arc. It would make sense since it's probably the longest arc in the entire anime, but I certainly hope they keep up this level of quality throughout the rest of the series. So far the animation has been so lackluster that Outo is making me feel like I've finally been given water after being stranded in the desert.
俺たち新種の鬼に会ったって人の話を聞きたいんだ。
その人に会いたかったらもうちょっと早う来んとあかんで。
Okay, so now they have to go back to the cafe sometime later because Oruha's already left? That's getting things a little out of order. But that scene previously was just so good that I'm going to give B-Train a pass on this. Let's see where it goes.
相馬なんでここにお前がいるんだ友よ姫も一緒なのか
What? They left out the lesbian line? Kurogane is surprised to see Soma, a fellow ninja from his world of Nihon, at the cafe, and he asks if she ran away with Amaterasu, the Empress of Nihon. This is poignant because Soma and Amaterasu are girls. Oh yeah. Where is the drunk scene? Why aren't Fi and Sakura meowing? Why isn't Shaoran trying to use a ladle as a sword?
クロリンに教えを請うなら自分に向かってくるやつとか生涯守ると決めたものを奪おうとするやつをすべて倒す覚悟がないとね。
Fi, honey, you're just spitting Kurogane's words back out at Shaoran. That's not impressive at all. Why didn't B-Train just have Kurogane say those lines to Shaoran, just like he said them to Fi? That way he could give Fi a little glance at the end to really hammer in the nail and make sure that the mage knows that these words still apply to him too. And that's the end of Outo Country's 3rd episode. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to fit everything into one video, but as you can see, this one is already pretty long, so I'm just going to need a bit more time to work on editing the other 6 episodes into part 2. So far, Outo is going pretty well. A few things are out of order, but the animation has been solid, and I've been blessed with the Kaze no Machi scene, so I can't complain. I'm excited to review the rest of the arc, and we'll see you all next month. Well, this is the part of the video where I tell you all to like, share, comment, subscribe, take a shot of espresso every time I go off on a tangent about Phi. Oh my god, no, please don't. But, you know, that's just not really my spiel. I mean, you can do all that if you want, but I'm more just doing this for fun. And to feel like I'm actually taking my creative writing degree somewhere. Anyway, thanks a bunch for watching my video. I hope all of you lovely people have a wonderful month, and I'll see you all in the next world.